No one's ever going to be like, man, that guy is
All right.
I'm on stage. And if they do say that, it's a good thing. I would like to see more of it. Then they'll come and see you next time.
Good evening, CFTA. Good evening, CFTA. Good evening, CFTA. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate that in the plethora of things to do, you chose us for this evening. So we promise you this show is going to be fantastic. And if it's not, please come to the bar to get a refund of your ticket. Exactly. So we have a great lineup today of great people who are going to share stories. And of course, as always, we have some pizza, some alcohol at the bar. Please try our Chaos Lager. It got 10 out of 10 votes from the one person we asked if they like it. And they said, yeah, it's really good. Oh, there she is. She's trying it. Is it good? There you go. It's approved. See, like this is a person we don't know, and she's saying that she loved it. Yeah, exactly. See, this is so organic. Wow, look, there's a table with two. Oh, wow, wow. So the night is gonna be broadcasted on YouTube. So if you like your set not to be broadcasted, please let us know so we opt you out. And if you would like to purchase a copy of your video at the end of the show, it's $15 and it's shot on 5 cameras. Not 1, not 2, not 3. Should I keep going? No, not 4 as well. It's 5 cameras. Ooh. Nolan said that the Odyssey, the way he made the movie, it was modeled after how we place our cameras at CFTA. Just saying. Don't Google it, but just saying, right? So with that said, I think that concludes all the portion of the boring in-house announcements. Are you ready for your host? No, guys, you don't understand. This host needs more energy because he's in charge of your transportation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mike Derbecker.
Enthusiasm, my God, enthusiasm. And a mic stand that kind of likes me, I'm not sure. Good evening, everybody who has actually made it out here. Good evening to anybody who is watching from the great ether. Ether or aether? Ether. Ether 1. Ether 1? Okay. Let's call it ether. Thank you, everybody. It is horrible out there, by the way. It's incredibly hot, and it's sticky, and it's raining, and it's sunny. And it was unpleasantly cool briefly. So it's all hitting at the same time. If you've come here in lieu of the fact that it feels like apocalypse, I really appreciate that. Who here is completely new and virgin and never has set foot in this place before on God's green earth? Wait, okay, 1. All right. In very short, tell us your story. That's as simple as I can possibly make it. Ideally, around 5 to 7 minutes. There's going to be a light over there. Green means you can keep going. Yellow means please start wrapping it up. Red means go to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200. I'm sure you can do the rest of the math. We get stories that are funny, that are tragic, that are truly surreal, that go in directions that you don't want. And there are also a lot of people who have walked in at random and come back repeatedly. So I want to thank them profusely. I also want to, as always, thank Jake and George for keeping this place running. Like you said, if you want a beer, please go get one. If you want anything cold or anything edible, you go over there. And do you want to start with the first performer? Yeah. The correct answer is yes. You want to start with the first performer. In that case, could KJ please come to the stage? And give them a round of applause. Warm welcoming. Etc., etc., etc.
I'll move the mic a little lower.
Little lower.
I'm horizontally challenged. Not that low.
Would you like to sit or stand?
I'm going to stand.
Okay. How does that feel?
That's the long,
That-
that's the tall stool.
That feels good. Everyone can hear me?
Yep.
Outstanding. Yes. I feel like a contestant on a game show. Okay, so I know a few of you, this is my second time here, and you may or may not recall that at that time I had said I was supposed to be having top surgery in July. Obviously, that didn't happen. A water pipe burst in the clinic that I was supposed to be having my surgery back in June, and they had to reschedule all of the surgeries. So I'm not getting surgery until November 3rd. Womp womp. But it just means that we get a boobalicious summer. Anyway, okay, so that was just a little mini story at the beginning of my actual story. All right, so first of all, I'd like to thank the Center for the Talking Arts for the opportunity and the space to tell these stories. Secondly, August 5th to September 1st is the Celtic month of the hazel tree, which is a special time associated with storytelling. So I am very grateful to have this opportunity to be a storyteller during this month. So I've been thinking about failure a lot lately. Capitalist patriarchy hates failure unless it's a failure that it can monetize. And my intention for this year is to actively resist capitalist patriarchy, and so failure is at the center of my story tonight. As a teenager and young adult, academic failure was my greatest fear. Since entering high school, I maintained an honor roll status, and I made that my entire personality. Getting good grades was the cornerstone in the arch of my self-worth. And so naturally, I was mortified when I showed up to my graduation ceremony at Brock University, and a well-meaning middle-aged woman took me aside and whispered to me, "You're not graduating." My entire sense of self just collapsed. For the 5 years of my Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Education, I had blown off social events, sacrificed sleep, gone above and beyond for my assignments, suffered through a French language oral exams, and somehow survived my first bout of career-related depression to get to that graduation day. And that woman had the audacity to say those 4 words to me. It was the greatest, most humiliating failure of my life, my biggest fear come true. I slinked away from that ceremony, consumed by shame. And I spent a lot of time feeling numb, listening to Linkin Park, and wondering how this could have happened. Like, so much Linkin Park. It took a few days, but finally I learned the reasoning behind those 4 words. I was missing 3 fourth-year credits. Are you kidding me? For those who may not be aware, the university course credits system works on a 1 to 4 scale. So if you have a minor in history, then you need to take a certain number of credits at the first-year level, like Canadian history 1F24 and ancient civilization 2P14 and world history 1P35. Then you need to take a certain number of credits at the second-year level, Canadian history 2F25 and ancient civilizations 2P15. Then at the third-year level, Canadian history 3F26 and American Revolution 3P44. And then at the fourth-year level, Canadian history 4F27. So basically, I had failed to graduate because in my 4th year, I selected history 3P26 instead of history 4F27, failing the requirement deemed necessary to obtain my degree. As a result, I was unable to graduate with my Bachelor of Education cohort. I had completed my year of Teachers College after my 4 years of Bachelor of Arts. I could get into all the background reasons for why I didn't pursue a 4th-year history class, overrides anxiety, but those are not relevant to this story. This story is about failure and shame. I had failed spectacularly, and the blame sat squarely on my own shoulders. I was so angry at myself, at my advisors, at Brock, at the whole system. And that anger had nowhere to go. So I internalized it, and I carried that shame for years. The keystone in the arch of my self-worth had been blown to smithereens, and I didn't know who I was anymore. And then someone I highly respect shared a similar story of academic failure. They too had shown up to their university graduation and were told that they did not have the requirements necessary to graduate. And they told their story on television to an audience of millions. My entire perspective changed the day that I found out the great comedian, actor, writer, and late-night host Stephen Colbert had something in common with me, and it wasn't just our deep love of Middle Earth. My greatest source of shame evaporated. His story lifted the weight I'd carried for years off of my shoulders. I had moved to South Korea after successfully graduating, and nobody there knew that I'd failed to graduate on time. Nobody would have cared, but I knew, and I cared. And I didn't know that I was allowed to feel any other way about failure. Until I heard Colbert's story and knew that I was not alone in academic failure. So I hope that some of you will share stories of failure, either tonight or someday in the future, because it shows others that failure doesn't mean the end of our worth, and it releases us from the burden of perfection, and it also gives capitalist patriarchy a weaker hold on our collective self-esteem. Since that failed graduation ceremony, I've gone on to have and survive more excruciating failures. But those stories are for another time. Thank you, and happy Hazel Tree Month.
One more time for KJ, please. Can I ask about the hazel tree? So you said this is Celt in particular. I mean, any one of the isles in particular?
Sorry?
Yeah, the hazel tree storytelling. Like you said that it was it, did you say Irish or did you say Celtic?
Celtic.
Celtic. So in any one of the particular islands, particularly Scots, Irish, Welsh?
I don't know if it's a particular island nowadays, like with the modern ceremony. I don't know where its origin is. I just know that every month they honor a certain tree, and that tree has different things associated with it. And so with hazel, it's like you go out and harvest hazelnuts, and then it's the harvest, so there's lots of gatherings, and people get together and they tell stories.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've been steeped in Irish literature for the last couple of months because my life is weird and melodramatic, so I figured it might as well be like James Joyce level of melodramatic or Eugene O'Neill level of melodramatic. It's incredibly cheerful stuff when you're drunk. So cool. Thank you for telling the story. Come back anytime, please.
Oh, yes. I would love to. I live in Brantford and I don't drive, so getting here is a bit of a commitment, but I do love coming.
If anybody here lives in Brantford and wants to drive her next time around, like seriously, please get in touch. Some people come in from Toronto from time to time as well. So.
Well, getting here from Toronto is a lot easier because of the GO train.
Because is there no? I work for Go. I should know this. Is there no Go bus like
There's
from?
a bus, but it lets off at Innovation Park.
Oh, that's a lovely place, and it's 200 miles away for walking. So.
It's like a 50-minute walk.
Huh.
So.
Okay, thank you for coming all the way from Brantford. That's very cool. One more time, please, for KJ. If you look for omens, if you're like, what's the word, pantomancer? Where you see omens and everything, there is a remarkable omen because KJ is being followed by DJ, a guy named David DJ Roy, who is coming to the stage carefully, who tells great stories, is a very funny comedian, and has a great podcast he might tell you about.
There we go. Good. Would you like to sit or stand? Well, sit, because I can't stand. All right.
Would you like sit or lean?
I want to switch out the No, that's good. And so I'm DJ. I'm going to tell you the story of how I ended up in Vancouver. Yes, it's a beautiful city. Well, it was. So the year is 2004, and SARS just hit Toronto. And, well, the bar I was working at was going to lay off people and close down. So I said, screw it. I've been to Vancouver once. I now live there. But being, I was broke, I owed enough money to get the GO bus or GO train, the Greyhound, to Winnipeg. So I did that. There's nothing in Winnipeg, by the way. No. See, dumb Torontonian thought he was going to work across the country. Yeah, there's no work in Winnipeg. So I spent 2 days doing nothing and said, screw this, grabbed my crap, my backpack, my walking suitcase, and hit the Trans-Canada Highway. So I'm hitchhiking to Vancouver now, which, after a while gets a little scary. Because after 3 hours out Moose Jaw, and then it dawned on me, wait, it's been 2 hours since I've seen a car. I might actually die out here, and no one's going to know. I should have bought more water at the last gas station. But eventually, shortly after that, my savior, Claude, came and picked me up in a rig. I hop in the cab, and he goes, okay, 2 questions. 1, are you crazy? And I'm like, kinda. If I'm out here hitchhiking. Yes, I might be. He's like, okay, I'll accept that. And B, have you had breakfast yet? No. Then we'll start on the American beer. And so after a short little few hours, we end up doing meth off the fucking dashboard. Trucker speed, which, by the way, fucking awesome. But a little bit of a power trip on an 18-wheel, because you're like, it's a Honda Civic. We can run it over, right? A little too aggressive. So eventually he got me to Calgary, and Calgary's good. I spent a week, and there was a lot of work there. But then, again, my journey is to Vancouver. And since instead of taking the Greyhound again, I said, screw it, I'm going to hitchhike, because I had so much fun last time. And hitchhiking from Calgary to Vancouver, it is a 14-hour Greyhound trip. I made it in 12. Hitchhiking, because as soon as I get one ride would let me off, another one would pick me up like 5 minutes later. There's very friendly people in BC, maybe a little too friendly, just saying. So got me a couple of rides, and then I got picked up by a hippie in a pickup truck. He's not wearing any shirt, not wearing shoes, driving. We're talking. He's talking about, him and his girlfriend got into a fight, and he's just heading back after camping to blow off some steam. We're driving, and then all of a sudden, there was this pretty young lady hitchhiking on the side of the road. He passes her. I look at him. He looks at me and goes, you are so lucky I love my girlfriend. And I'm like, dude, if you kicked me out, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't. But he kept me in. So we're driving, and we're running out of gas at the beginning of Hope, the city of Hope, the town Hope. And Hope's at the bottom of the hill. We ran out of gas at the top of the hill. And we just glide all the way down singing, hope we make it to Hope. Hope we make it. And we just almost made it into the gas station. So we get out, push the car into the gas station, fill the tank up, and then he drove me all the way to Vancouver, told me good luck, and he was catching the ferry to the island to be with his girlfriend. I wish him well. So I arrived in Vancouver with $10 in my pocket, and I checked into the Salvation Army. And 6 months later, between working and upgrading apartments, I actually went from homeless to a bachelor, furnished bachelor, in 6 months, which you can't do that now. It's a little too expensive for that. But that experience inspired this poem. You guys ready for a poem? Yeah. All right. Homelessness. Look at that panhandler over there, begging for change. He probably makes more than I do. With my 2 jobs, I'm barely getting by, because minimum wage only gets you the minimum in life. I'm stressed, I'm working, I can't get a day off. I might have to get a 3rd job now. I don't know how that's going to work. So I'm struggling. I can't afford a day off. Fuck. Oh, snap. I just got laid off. Now I have forced days off. Now I'm struggling and stressing. I'm out at interviews trying to find a job. It's a bunch of bullshit leads and card artist games, and no one's getting back to me. I'm struggling. I'm stressing. I guess I got to get up at 4 a.m. and go to those labor shops, the temp agencies down in Dietz, where their slogan is work that day, paid that day. But what they don't tell you is you barely make enough to get you through the day. Why? Because they want your dumb broke ass there tomorrow. These companies are getting rich off the sweat of my brow, and that business practice is straight up foul. I'm struggling. It's the 1st of the month. I can't make rent. I guess I'm going to be ending up living in a tent. I'm walking around with everything I own, looking for any place to call home. But I'm just homeless, not hopeless. I just need a helping hand. That's why I thank God for my closest, dearest Sally Ann. My name's David DJ Roy, and thank you.
One more time, DJ, please. I cannot imagine being at the Salvation Army for 6 months. What was that like, in short?
Oh, I did Salvation Army for a month, and then a backpackers for a month, and then a room for 3 months, and then a bachelor.
Very cool. When you were going through BC, did you end up in Golden by any chance?
We went through it.
That place freaked me out. I did a road trip with my uncle and a couple of cousins. I got claustrophobia and agoraphobia at the same time. Because Golden it's sort of in a valley that you have to drive a very long time. You have to go very high, very low. You end up in this valley. There is too much space around you, so you get agoraphobia. The town is tiny. You get claustrophobia. I had both of it. We were stuck there for 48 hours in a blizzard. It was not a pleasant experience. But that's a very cool story. Thank you. And he has a podcast. So if you like what you see tonight, go on to Instagram, look up David DJ. The real David DJ Roy?
The real David DJ Roy.
Yep.
Or DavidDJRoy.com.
Either one. His podcast guests are really interesting, and he's been doing it for how many years? 3, 4?
2.
Two.
Almost 2, yeah.
Almost 2. Well, 2 is like 3 except -1.
Yeah.
You're welcome, I think. I don't know. We have Stephanie coming up next. And here she is. Whichever you like.
Get the stool out there.
Stool there. Sure. Get that contraband stool off stage.
I feel like I have to use the stool now. All right, continuing with the variety for tonight, I'm going to tell a story about camping. Because I was just on a camping trip last week. It was an annual canoe trip that I have been doing with my dad for years. We started taking my kids when they were 3, figured that was old enough. And if you've never been backcountry camping, it's a lot. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, especially with young kids. It takes more time and more energy to do anything. To put it into perspective, if you want a liter of water, it takes about 250 pumps with a hand pump to get that liter of water. And you have to hang up your food in a tree at the end of the night, just so bears don't get into it. And let's not forget that you should also be carrying everything on your back if you're going to be traveling between lakes. So that's your food, your clothing, your gear, your canoe. There's even a special word for it. They call it a portage. So you portage your canoe and your gear on the portage to another lake. And so none of this prepared me for one particular portage that I did a few years ago. It was one of the physically hardest things that I have ever done, and it's not something that I say lightly. I run ultramarathons. I was in labor for 40 hours with my oldest, so I have done some hard things physically. So I'm going to set the scene. I want you to imagine this. It was pouring, which is never a good start. The lake that we were heading to there was one campsite on that lake, so it wasn't exactly a high priority in terms of maintaining the trail or making sure that it was accessible. So like I said, you have to carry everything with you when you're going on a portage. And the easiest way to carry a canoe is to carry it over your head on your shoulders. So it helps to have a lightweight canoe. We were actually borrowing one from a friend. So it was made of fiberglass, which is kind of mid-weight. It's not quite as light as a fancy Kevlar canoe, but it's lighter than an aluminum canoe. And the fact that it's fiberglass is important. So my dad started out carrying the canoe over his head, and we saw the first 100 meters or so, it was a mess of mud and rocks and roots. And most of the path was washed away at that point. After he stumbled for the third time, we flipped the canoe over and started carrying it by the handles at either end. So it's still pouring, to the point that we are regularly having to dump the canoe of the water that is collecting in the bottom, because it's just adding extra weight. And I'm constantly trying to switch the canoe hand to hand, change my grip, because this thing, it weighs about 70 pounds dry, and it's just dead weight. So eventually I started leaning the canoe up against my leg, just to try and take some of the pressure off. I didn't realize that I was also grinding some glass fibers into my leg off the hull and into my skin. So my 6-year-old is with us still at the time. And through all of this, he was just stoically keeping it together. If you have ever heard the amount of whining that happens on the 10-minute walk to school, you know that they know it's bad when they're not saying that they are hungry or tired or sore. So in the end, it took us 2 hours to walk 1.6 kilometers. I was covered in mud, my arms were burning, my leg was on fire from the fiberglass, and my back was screaming from the 80-pound backpack that I'd been carrying on top of everything else. So when we finally made it to the campsite, my son hopped out, dropped his little pack, and asked what was for dinner. And I think that that's really the thing about doing hard stuff with little kids, is that they don't know yet that they're supposed to be traumatized by it. He just did the hardest physical thing of his life, and he's already moved on to snacks. So I spent 2 hours suffering so that my son could build character that he doesn't realize that he's actually building yet. Thank you.
Again for Stephanie and her perseverance. How long did it take you to pick the fiberglass out of your lip? I did the same thing at a Cub camp, and I'm really old. My God, 1978 or so, because we were carrying something that we shouldn't have been carrying. The counselors in question got in trouble, but I had it on my shoulder through a weird circumstance, and I remember being told, don't touch it, 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 don't touch it. And then somebody went, oh, you can just wash this off, and did. So I just, that was amazing. And what did you give your kid for dinner? Just curious.
I think we had mac and cheese that first time.
And why not?
Why not?
That's perfectly reasonable. Thank you for the story. Come back anytime you want, please. Next person is coming up, has been here for a while, and she is always good, full stop. Shelley.
I just want to say that my dad also offered me his fiberglass canoe, but he already added another 10 pounds of fiberglass to it. So I was like, No, Kevlar exists now. We're not doing that. That's my teeny canoe story. Oh, please let me hope that I've grabbed the right piece of paper. I have not. Okay, we're going to wing it. So this is not even going to be what I plan to do today, but here we go. We're just going to roll with it. So as some of you know, some of you have seen me here before, I am a widow. My partner died of brain cancer a year and a half ago. And one of the hardest things about being a caretaker and the anticipatory grief is that you're so busy trying to keep the person alive that you don't have much time to think about what happens after they die. And so after he died, you find that your friend selection changes because all of your friends were also caretakers. Either they took care of him in the hospital or they were people that supported you while you were caretaking them. So suddenly you're a different person. You know, you're a different, you're not part of a partnership anymore. You can stop saying we unless you include the dog, who's a beagle. So we talk a lot about Tuna and I sharing the bed together, which isn't that exciting because she's a beagle. But setting that aside, you have to sort of see yourself in a different way because all of your expectations of what you saw your life being have suddenly changed. You know, you expect what everyone expects, that you'll grow old together and eventually one of you will pass away, and hopefully it's you, so you don't have to look after anyone. I mean, let's face it, I mean, no one wants to be the burden, but no one wants to hang around either, right? So that's a tough thing to go and do, but that's totally what you're thinking, right? So the goal is, you know, as we, Daniel and I, we both thought, you know, we would watch grandchildren eventually show up, hopefully. And, you know, we would grow old and dottery together and annoy our children with our tea bag collection. And why did we also talk about Spider-Man all the time? And that didn't happen. I mean, that just didn't happen. He's forever 53, and I am now 56 and heading on to 57. God help us. So as I started therapy and started realizing I had to start making my own life, I had to figure out what that life was, right? And I've always been a writer, but I've never, ever performed on a stage. And but I'm also very snoopy, and I'm also very, I would say, extraordinarily nosy about my community. Like, I pick up a garbage in my neighborhood every other day. Everyone knows at 5 a.m., the bus drivers all know that I'm out here picking up garbage. I've got a beautiful collection of various sort of alcohol and weed that I've found that people have left for me as I detrash the community. And I found this place, and I was like, what's this place? I'm nosy. I have to know what it's about, you know. So Dexter had an event here where it was a podcast, and it was about finding community. It was about finding love and connection. And I sat on this stage, on that very couch, and I talked about how we're so lost from what we need to connect to that we can't find our way because we keep expecting all this technology that we've created to help us, and it's actually making us feel more isolated. So as time went on, I started coming here more and more, and I started coming to Comic-Con, to the comic nights, to the open mics, and I started coming to storytelling, and I thought, you know, I think I could stand on that stage and I could tell a story, you know. And then I was like, you know, this place sort of needs someone to clean it. So I was like, hey, you know, I think I'll clean this place. I think I can handle salt. I mean, I grew up in Wellington County. I think I know what salt is, and I know how to clean a floor. And then suddenly I started being the bartender, and next thing you know, I'm stocking beer and fighting with walls falling off the walls, and the refrigerator, and I'm so glad I'm going on vacation tonight. But anyways, third spaces are so very important to us as a community and to us as humans. It reduces our sense of isolation. But for me, it's been more than that. I've created a family here. Like, George is like a brother. He's hiding. George is like a brother. I mean, I can send him messages about my fears of killing men and being stuck underneath their corpse, both of us naked for 2 days, and he just thinks it's funny. He doesn't judge me. Jake, I can't say enough. You sometimes drive me crazy, but I love you. And so I've created a family here. And I mean, I think that I'm probably the luckiest of everyone, because out of something where I was just being nosy and I just wanted to know what was going on, and sort of took something that was artistic in my sense and turned it into something that created a whole new life for me. I'm immensely grateful. Thank you.
One more time for Shelley and her optimism and everything else. Although I do have a point of order, how did the wall fall off the wall?
It just does. Don't jinx us.
I'm not going to jinx. The walls are everybody. The walls are perfectly fine. Everybody, the walls are perfectly fine. Okay. I'm all one for solid manifestation. That's good. Very cool. Beautiful story. You've been here for like 3 months, 4 months?
Oh no, I've been here since like last October.
Yeah, I have no track of time. I have no track of time. I'm dealing with family weirdness, which I will not talk about here. It's weird. Let's leave it at that. So you kind of lose track of time. I don't know what 3 months is versus 6 versus 9. That's a different monologue, which I'll do another time. Right now, I want to bring up George. George is a great source of jealousy for me because he can be hysterically funny. He can do stand-up. His stories can be funny and incisive and occasionally heartbreaking at once. And that's all the intro I'm going to give him. He's a great guy. George.
Hey guys, I'm Mike Derbecker, if I can keep time and know what time it is actually. No, I called it the Mike Derbecker special today. Like, I usually put my hair in a bun, but today I decided, no, I want to be more like Mike.
My God, you're attractive.
You know? Yeah, and since he saw me, he's been just, hitting on me, so weird thing there. My name is George. I think. I can't be sure. What if I, just to screw with Mike, I come here and tell you how great the KKK is and they're misunderstood and then post it with Mike's intro, right? Like, this guy says amazing, yeah, wonderful. And then it's just me talking about KKK and how they're misunderstood and we should. No, I won't do that. I'll do something shittier. No, I've been lately going to therapy, and I know as a man, all of you women are like, oh, really? Yes, I go to therapy. I've been going to therapy because I've been noticing that a male psyche is it's a lot different than a woman. And I think a lot of people don't understand a male psyche. So if you may, if you indulge me, I would like to just tell you how males think in general. So there's no more confusion. You can go home back to your partner, your brother, your dad, whoever, and you could be like, I know now, you're just stupid. Basically, I gave it all away. It's men are stupid, but we are not. We are not. Men have... I don't think people realize, even men, certain men don't realize that men are naturally selected to be frontliners. And I'm not talking about jobs, I'm not talking about war, that shit is bullshit. I'm talking about when shit hits the fan, a man does not know where to exist except on the front line trying to solve a problem. That's how a male brain functions. A woman would love to, and I'm sure you're all looking at me like, oh, he's explaining women now. Like, bear with me, I'm married 14 years, it could be my last, I don't know. But women are more of thinkers, right? You want to ponder, you want to take a step, calm down, assess, and then engage. Men, they just want to engage, right? Get it over with. Like, fuck it, I'll learn it. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? You could die. That. It's because genuinely, and I noticed that, and this is it's a self-reflection first. So I'm not casting and saying all men are like that. Most are, but not all of them, right? But we want to be at the forefront. It's because we believe that we have an innate and I don't know, I don't want to use that word, but it's kind of like God-given ability to be the frontliners. Not because we're better, it's just because we don't think. So when we're at the front line, we could deal with the problem and not think past like, oh, would that fuck me up? So do you notice how men get a ladder and then they like fucking just post it on, like they put it on against the wall and it's flimsy as fuck and they just climb? That's literally how we think. Like, oh, if I fall, I just grab onto this. Like, dude, you can't even pull yourself up. You know, what are you doing? What are you doing? But that's what we do. And because of that, men walk with this heavy sentiment the entire time. And men here could agree, most of them, which is when you're sitting here, you're thinking, what if somebody comes in with a gun through that door? I can go throw the chair at them, block that door, get the ladies to safety, and then come back and beat him up. These are scenarios we think of. Right? And it's active. It's every day. Trust me. It's every room I walk into. It's a possible, like, I feel like Jackie Chan. You know, like I've never hit one other person in my life, but for some reason when I'm in public and my wife is with me especially, I become Jackie Chan in my head. I'm like, oh, look how fucking, you know? And this is the guy who broke his leg walking down his steps at home. Literally, like it's that sad. But because of that, we walk around with a very heavy feeling the entire time, which is we are requested to perform certain acts. If a man opens a door for a lady, right? What's the comment? Oh, you're a gentleman. If he doesn't, you're a dickhead. And it's like we cannot choose the right thing. I know most men are horrible. Bear with me. I'm not saying, like, I'm not giving excuses, but we walk with that sentiment. And that's such a heavy thing to walk with the entire time because you don't know what is expected of you. Rather, you're always benchmarked. And that's something that I've been trying to unlock in therapy because a man should be a certain thing, right? Like, you're 40. What do you mean you didn't go to Epstein Island yet, right? Like, people ask you questions like that. But don't worry, like, I feel your tension. It's okay. I mentioned Epstein. It's all right. Don't worry. He's dead. We think. We don't know. But yeah, we walk with that sentiment. And the problem with that feeling is it doesn't stay there at the surface. What it does is it starts seeping in, and it starts affecting every aspect of your life. And I noticed it recently. I come from a different background, different culture. I was raised abroad, and then moved here 2 years ago, 2 years and a half ago. And I come from a society where men, you know, like, they were men, you're a man, you don't cry, you murder others, but you don't cry, right? Like, it's okay. Like, if you release your anger by murdering 6 people, it's fine, but if you cry, they call you pussy, right? That's the truth. So when you survive like that, it's not living, it's surviving. And you have that thought walking with you the entire day, like, I'm a man, I should be, right? You're always doing that. Everything loses joy. Work loses joy because now it becomes something detrimental. Like, I have to attend to my client, otherwise I'm gonna lose them. Which is fine if you think about it in the bigger scheme of things. There's like a gazillion clients out there for you as a business owner, right? There's 1 million people who can visit your business. There's 1 billion more that you haven't even talked to yet. But because of that, I noticed personally that whenever I get into a conversation with another male, I'm automatically in flight or fight mode. And it's to no reason, to no fault of other men. It's just the way I was raised. I was told, you always have to prove you're better than somebody else. It wasn't enough that you're good on your own. You must be better than somebody else. And the derivative of that is, I lived in a culture where people used to say stupid shit in my face, like to my face. Literally, like I walked into many rooms, meetings, professional setups where people are just gonna talk business. And somebody walks in late to the meeting, and this one guy I'm sitting with goes, come, I wanna introduce you to George. He's Christian, but he's okay. What does that mean? I shit you not, these are sentences that are used in the Middle East. He's Egyptian, but he's smart. And they say it with such conviction that it feels that, yeah, to them, you should, there's always a benchmark, and especially if you're a man, in a society that just favors man, women are second-class citizens, and that's a fact. And people can get upset at me saying that, but I don't care. It is a fact. Women are treated as second-class citizens there. But we often talk about how it affects women and how it puts a glass ceiling above their heads, but never do we really think that men in their wake, in their destructive behavior, they take other men with them. And I'm one of them. And I'm not a victim. But it's something that I'm aware of right now. And something that I would love to change. And something I felt that every man should hear, because it is tough. It is tough being a man. Now especially that, you know, statistically speaking, most horrible shit are done by men, right? Like what's the worst thing? Like, who's the worst person who ever lived? Hitler, man, right? His girlfriend, his Eva Braun, whatever her name was, what's the worst thing she's done? She dated him. So that's, like, that's the discrepancy. Like, for real, that's how they put it, right? She dated Hitler. But Hitler was the most horrible man ever. And statistically, you're right. Men are the cause of most problems. But there are men out there who identify those problems and want to work on them. But because we keep saying, you're a man, you know, it puts man in a position where he has no ally outside, and the inner dialogue is also fucked up. And this has no conclusion as of yet. I know that's not the ending you hoped for. But yeah, it's not patriarchy. I'm literally just talking about male psyche, like how we operate on a, you know, when you're not thinking with your dick, like when the blood is actually in your brain, that's how we behave. And that's the truth, guys. And I just wanted to share it with you. And hopefully next time when I tell a story, it's going to have a conclusion, especially to this, because I don't know how to fix it. But I hope by putting it out there, we can start a conversation. Thank you very much.
Again for George, again for George. My God, he's got beautiful hair. Absolutely gorgeous. Very cool point about, yeah, you can kill someone, you can't cry, but you can kill somebody. I've seen numerous manifestations of that. I've probably done it. And this, like, full disclosure, I've gotten into 2 fights on purpose in my life. Once somebody insulted my girlfriend at the time, and I backhanded him instantly and said, behave. And then realized he's much bigger. I'm about to get pounded with an inch of my life, and he just went, well, isn't it? Which had nothing to do with what he was saying. I thought, did I literally just like knock sense into your head? Did I knock sense out of your head? I don't remember which one. And somebody squared me in university about the same terms, just of a different girlfriend. They said, why? Do you realize that she's only sleeping with you because she's really bored? And I said, well, do you realize, like, there's no chance she would ever be bored enough to continue that with you? And he said, funny guy. take a bow. Boom. And like, right there. And I hit the ground and realized, okay, I'm not going to get up very easily. I was in a lot of pain. And he laughed and he said, okay, big guy. Reached down with his left arm. I grabbed with my right arm, pulled him off balance, and hit him under the chin. And his teeth hitting each other sounded like dinner plates falling onto a stack. It was great. He fell down, I fell down. Kind of looked at each other. I said, are we finished? And we kind of crawled off to our sides. That is it. That is the only fight I've ever actually done. Anything else I've either been able to talk my way out of or simply put myself in a different place, which could be referred to as running away, but I don't like to stress on that particular point. Whole point is, beautiful piece, thank you. Next person who's coming up, I have performed with in Toronto, like, oh my God, 10 years ago at this point?
Yeah.
That's horrifying. Yeah, we know a lot of mutual people.
Started like 20 years ago.
20?
Pretty close.
Again, I lose track of time. I've been here for 13 years. We'd been going to Kaplansky's for about 3 years before that. You're right, 16 years, my God. We know each other through connections. We went to the same high school at one point. It was Performing Arts High School in Toronto. He is frighteningly good. He told a story around 10 or 11 years ago I never forgot. He's not going to do that tonight, but give me a couple of drinks. I'll tell you what he said and why it was good. Or give him a few drinks and he'll do a better version of it. I'm not sure which. In any case, this is Zeb.
Okay. So, yes, I'm one of those people from Toronto. Try not to hold it against me. I used to have a job in a place called the Portlands in Toronto. I don't know how familiar anyone is with the city. You shouldn't be. But it's the part right at the bottom of the city, right at the lake, where the river flows out and the DVP comes down. And it used to be the industrial hub of the city where all the shipping came in and out of the town. Now it's a giant park. We've just turned it into this beautiful big park. It's absolutely gorgeous. I didn't work there during any of those times. I worked there in between those two times when it was a fucking wasteland. Like literally, it was just empty warehouses. Half of them were like falling down. It looked like a war zone. It was actually really horrible. The roads were terrible. There was big trucks driving down them all the time because there was a couple of businesses. Most of them were like heavy industrial related. There was an asphalt company and a paperboard manufacturing facility. It was a horrible new smell every single day. It was just the worst. It was handy for us. We were a special effects company, so it meant that we were right downtown and we could get to anywhere we needed to quickly, but we were also in the middle of nowhere, so we could blow things up without, causing the police to come. Handy for that line of work. So one day I was going to leave. I was just leaving for work at the end of the day, and I decided to take what I call the scenic route. And the scenic route was just this extra side road that was so overgrown with plants and bushes and trees that it felt like you were in a forest, and it just took away a little bit of the desolation. And I would like to drive down that road just for like 3 minutes of greenery. And I pull onto the road and there's a taxi, and it's just sitting there blocking the road. The driver's door was open, the engine was still running. It's one of those old land boat taxis that used to ride in the 70s and 80s, and so I get out of my car. I stop. I go to look around to see what's going on. I'm looking around. I can't see anybody. There's nobody around. There's nobody ever down here, anyways. So it's kind of weird to see anything. And I look down the road, and I can see maybe 150 meters, maybe 200. There's a City of Toronto public works truck, like a pickup truck, and I can see the drivers leaning out the window. I'm like, oh. Maybe they know what's going on. So I start walking towards the city works truck. And as I'm getting closer to it, I can see that the driver's talking to a guy who's sitting by the side of the road. And then as I get closer, the truck drives away. Just leaves, leaving the guy sitting there by the side of the road. And so I keep walking up at this point. I'm kind of curious what's going on. And as I get closer, I can see that the man sitting there is not wearing a shirt, because he's taken it off and he's holding it against the side of his head. And it's soaked in blood. Yeah. And so having been trained in first aid several times, I do exactly what I've been trained to. I go up and I say, hello, my name is Zebulon. I've been trained in first aid. Can I help you? Because you have to ask for permission. And the man looks at me, he says, no, I'll be okay. And I look at the blood. There's a lot of blood. And the shirt is not holding it in. It's not containing it. And I don't believe him when he says he's gonna be okay. So I said, I'm going to call you an ambulance, sir. It's not going to cost you any money, and they're going to come and help you. Because back then, we didn't charge you for an ambulance. Back then, we just brought you to a hospital. And he didn't argue with me. I got on my phone. It was a big Motorola gray thing. I think I spent about $5 in airtime to call an ambulance, because that's how expensive cell phones were back then. And call the ambulance, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I just really focused on keeping him present. I was obviously trying to control his bleeding a little bit, but it was obvious from the start I was not trained for the injury that he had. It was a major head trauma. So I was trying to keep him present. Like I was terrified that he was going to pass out on me, and I just didn't. That scared me more than anything. But it only took a few minutes. It was like a few minutes before the ambulance arrived. They showed up really quick. It was amazing. And then immediately they jumped into work. They started doing their job, taking care of this guy. And then as one of them was getting him prepped to leave, the other one took me aside, and he's like asking me all these questions, like what I saw, my name, my information, what happened. And I didn't know very much, but I told him what I knew, and he's like, okay, and he's writing it all down. And he says, okay, we've got to get him to St. Mike's Hospital right away, because he's, this is bad. Can you deal with that? And he points at the cab, which I had forgotten about by this point. I'd forgotten the whole reason I was standing at the side of the road, everything that was going on. So I was like, yeah, get him to the hospital, I'll deal with that. This is more important. So they take off in one direction, I start walking the other direction back to the car. I pick up his sandals, and I throw them in the car, and I turn off the engine. And I look down, and wedged in between the seats is like a stack of bills this thick. It's like a couple of $1,000s at least. I mean, cabs in the 90s were a cash business, and this was probably his monthly float or something. And you can't leave that there. You can't leave anything down there. There was empty warehouses, but there were squatters living in those warehouses, and they would often come out at night and just loot whatever they could. And so I took his money out of the car, and I locked it into the trunk. And I took the keys, locked everything up, engine was off, and then I went back to the office, and I called the cab company. And I said, hey, I just found one of your cab drivers. He's in the hospital. He's really badly hurt, and he's possibly going to die, and you need to send somebody to help him, and here's where his taxi is. And the woman on the line says, I'm sorry, sir, what do you expect me to do? And I was like, well, you should contact his family and tell them that he's in the hospital, because this might be their last chance to see him, and also you really don't want to leave the car down here. Somebody should come and pick it up. And they're like, well, I don't know who he is, and how am I going to contact his family? I'm like, well, he was driving taxi number 4567. And she's like, that number doesn't tell me anything. I'm like, what the fuck do you have a number on the side of the cab for if it doesn't tell you anything? But by this point, I realized that this woman is not going to help me. And right at that moment, she's like, sir, we're experiencing a very high call volume right now. So I just hang up, because what the fuck? I'm not going to waste my time with this. And I did the only thing I could think of. I got in my car, and I drove to St. Mike's Hospital. And I go into the emergency room, and I go up to the admitting nurse, and I say, hey, you had a guy come in here a little while ago, massive head trauma on the left side of his head. And I'm standing there, I'm holding his keys. And I'm like, I've got his keys, and I just want to make sure that he's got his stuff and he's safe. And the nurse is looking at me like, who is this crazy person waving keys at me, talking about some guy that I don't understand or know about? And at this point, I'm getting frustrated. At this point, I hadn't quite realized that I'd just been through a very traumatic event. And it was fine in the moment. I'm good in trauma. I can deal with that. I can deal with a crisis. It's the after part that's difficult, because then you don't have anything to do. Like, when you've got a job, you can focus on the job. It's that man thing that he was talking about. You can focus on the task at hand, get everything done, and then after it's all done, it's like, whoa, shit, what the fuck just happened? But I was in this weird in-between state because I didn't really have a job to do, except as long as I was holding the keys, I still did. And that frustration was just building in me, and I'm like, I just need to get his keys to this man. And as I got frustrated, I got louder, and I can get pretty loud as it is. I probably wouldn't need this microphone if I wanted to perform in this room. And as I got louder, I started to, I got a little angry, and then another nurse came forward, and she said, "Sir, I know who you're talking about. He's in surgery, he's doing well, his family's being notified. I can take his keys for you." I don't know if she was telling me the truth or not, or if she was just trying to get me out of her emergency room. And I don't care. Totally fair either way. But I handed her the keys, and as soon as I handed her the keys to her, it kind of hit, that's when it hit me. And I was like, I did not like the way I felt. And so I turned to leave immediately. And as I turned to leave, this man who I can really only describe as a crazy homeless person, stood up, and he's like, looked at me, this wild hair and these piercing eyes, and he stared in my eyes and he went, "Yeah! That was beautiful what you did. The world needs more people like you." And I did not know how to take that. So I just left, and I found the nearest bar, and I got so fucking drunk because I just didn't want to feel any of the things that I was feeling in that moment. And it worked. It worked so well. I forgot about it. Like, I literally completely forgot about all of it until like 6 months later when I get a letter in the mail as a subpoena to be a witness in what was apparently an attempted murder trial, where two guys lured this cab driver into the middle of nowhere and beat him with a brick. So I had to go to court. Now, as a film worker, I'm a freelancer. I work for myself, which means if I don't work, I don't get paid, which is fine. Like, that happens. It's part of the deal. But like, I would go to the court, and I would sit there, and I would watch nothing happening. It was just a lot of delaying and things like that, and then I would have to come back another day. And then I'd watch more delays happening and more like, "Well, sir, we can't have the trial today because of this and this," and it's like constantly. And as this is happening more and more, like, I'm starting to completely lose faith in our justice system because I'm like, my time is burning and nothing is getting done. And it's literally, it was the moment that I was sitting in there and I heard the judge say, "Well, we can't hold a trial on a Friday in the middle of summer," that I was like, fuck all you people. Like, screw you. Like, when the whole thing was over and done with, and like, also, like, why was I even there? Like, why did I need to be a witness at all? I found somebody who was hurt. Like, how hurt was he? I don't know. Ask his doctor. Don't ask me. Don't ask the stranger who found him. Like, the whole thing was a waste of my time. And in the end, it cost me like 2 weeks worth of pay when I counted up all the days that I didn't end up going to work. And after it was all done, I was sitting on a bench outside of the courtroom thinking to myself, you try to do the right things in life, and like, what the fuck do you get for it? Like, you lose 2 weeks pay. And I'm sitting there feeling sorry for myself when this man who I don't recognize walks up to me and he says, "You're Zebulon?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, you're the one who found me. You saved my life." And I didn't know how to react to that because I didn't recognize him. He looked completely different. But also, there's something about that really, really made me uncomfortable. I didn't know how to take that. So I kind of brushed. I did something that, like, I really regret. I tried to make nothing of it. I tried to pretend it was no big deal. I was like, "No, I didn't do anything special. It's nothing. No, it's no big deal. Anybody would have done that." And I made a phone call. It was nothing. Nothing. I just pretended it was nothing. Fortunately, he wasn't putting up with that. He was like, no, the doctors told me 5 more minutes and I would be dead. You're the reason my children have a father right now. I couldn't argue with that. I couldn't brush that off. I didn't know what to say though, so I just gave him a big hug, and I said, look, I'm really okay, you're safe. I'm okay, you're safe. I still don't entirely know why I get so uncomfortable with that idea. It's weird. It's like I won the hero lottery. Like I get to say that I'm a bona fide hero. I saved a person's life, but I didn't risk my own life. I didn't dedicate myself to years and years of work learning how to kill a disease or something like that. I stopped my car, I checked on somebody who was hurt, and I called an ambulance. Like, anyone would do that. That's not a hero. And then I think about the woman at the taxi company who didn't have the time to figure out who this guy was and call his family. And I think about the truck that drove away from him, the public works truck that just left him there by the side of the road. And then I think about that guy that I can only describe as a crazy homeless person. And it bugs me to say that because that's the only way anybody in this world will ever think of him. And they're looking at him, he's just a crazy homeless person. But he understood it. And as far as I'm concerned, the world needs more people like him. Thank you.
This is why I'm very happy when he comes into town. One more time, please. Zeb Pike. Ay. Firstly, good on you. And that weird disconnect of, this is kind of the least I could do, but it was a lifetime to somebody, literally a lifeline for somebody else. That must be a bizarre thing to feel. You illustrated that perfectly. I think you told part of that story once. I didn't get to the end. I didn't know about the trial. Oh, yeah. That must, His material is very good. Let's kind of leave it at that. Next person is coming up, has been here a few times. Her material is also very good, and I am delighted she's here. This is Rose.
So thank you, Michael. Zeb, I want to thank you for your story because, truthfully, I've had a gentleman just confide in me recently about he had a friend that was hit on a scooter, and someone just left him there because they thought he was homeless, and how discouraged he's been about how we treat each other here. And so I appreciate that story. Thank you. So this one I didn't really memorize, but I because of some of the other ones up till now I have, so I'm going to be reading some, which is going to be a new experience for me. Who needs a new identity? I have yet to be the real me. I woke up yesterday to a podcast interview, and the thumbnail said, neuroscientist states that you can create a whole new you. I have to admit she was young and smart and overcame some serious programs she was conditioned with through the life she had lived. I have to admit, she was rocking it. She was being noticed. She got the checklist stuff, the body, the husband, the business, the house, the car, all the stuff that many of us who move in this direction want, because I am into metaphysics, so. Truthfully, I remember being her. I remember wanting to create a new me. I did the deep work and moved from a Linus and Charlie Brown that seemed to be a crap magnet to the girl hearing angels and winning all the prizes at a Christmas party. It was wild. When I was in college, taking fashion design, excited, positive, creating, and having to work and maybe sleeping an hour a night, I was positive and open and loved learning. I loved watching other people create too, not just myself. I also found I just seemed to be a crap magnet. Like if the day was sunny and it had a rain cloud, the cloud would be sitting over me. I would laugh about it. Figures. There was a certain point where I was talking to my teddy bear saying, Ted, buddy, I'm a bit concerned that the back truck is going to drive up the stairs and run us over. Simply stating, If there was some weird ass shit going to happen, it would somehow find me. I liken it to the rice story, the one for Dr. Masuri Emoto, you know, that guy, the one that did the rice experiment, you know, where you put rice in one room and they say really crappy stuff to it, and then they put rice in another room and they say really nice stuff to it, and after a week, the crappy rice looks black and unedible, and the white rice is like still edible. I kind of had that experiment with my life. The first part of my life, I grew up in the absence of love, and then the rest of it, I've been growing up in the presence of love, and it takes a while for that shit to sink in. Years later, I would have many life experiences and grow and do deep work and let go of old patterns and heal various things, and my energy was more flowing. This is when my thoughts became clearer. And I had to keep listening to positive stuff, because even though I was positive on the outside, I had lots of various thoughts and programs on the inside. I had so much noise in my head that I thought it was normal, and I actually would have to listen to music to study. Now I can see the thoughts running through. I actually like silence because I want to observe what is happening to me. I did get the job, the goods, the relationship, the body, the house, and the car, and had some fun with it. Then I kept growing, and I grew past the job, the relationship. Sorry about that. Yeah, the importance of the stuff, and started to move more in the moment. Yeah, so I just kind of let go of all of it, started becoming into the moment and everything and everyone, and started seeing everything and everyone as parts of myself. Most of my main characters would leave my life and have now, and truthfully, I did not run to fill the void. I actually decided to let go of the programs that came with those roles. I wanted to see who I was without all of them. I want to be clear. I still like the stuff. It just doesn't have to be bigger and more and whatever. Maybe someday, maybe again, maybe not. That part is still becoming. I find the best part is I'm now really realizing I'm now wanting to create a whole new me. I'm uncovering even more of the stuff that hid the original one. Because you see, that me is pretty amazing, that me is pretty sweet, and that me is the one I chose to come into this life to be. So no, I do not want to create a whole new me. I want to be the whole me that was never allowed to be in the first place. Because you see, my future self told me she's pretty awesome, and she never did all the things I was told I did my whole life. So for those of you who have known me for years, you may see me and go, something is different about you. Yes, something is. You're finally meeting the me that I was hiding behind, the me that you've come to know. Thank you.
Again for Rose, please. You do stream of consciousness very well. All these different thoughts and angles being thrown at the audience at one time. That's a hard thing to do, and you do it like exceptionally naturally.
Oh, thank you.
So,
I appreciate it.
Very cool. Thank you. Like, come back anytime. I'm gonna tell a story too. Can someone please keep me honest and keep us at like 8 minutes? Because I'm gonna do something quick. I tend to go long. My story tonight is gonna sound like a commercial for a car company. It really is not meant to be. I have a weird amount of luck with Volvos. Okay, Volvo. I know nothing about cars. I have no car background whatsoever. Volvo is one of those really boxy Swedish cars that if you get them new are incredibly expensive, and if you get them used, they are probably very cheap if you're lucky. I've owned 3 of these things, and they have been dirt cheap. I bought one in Toronto. It was actually the first car I owned. I saw it on the street with a sign saying, for sale, $1,100. And this was in, 2004. So buying a car for $1,100 in 2004 is not a very good idea. But I took it to a mechanic, and the mechanic said, of course you can buy this. It's a Volvo. Like, there's a cult I was unaware of. I drove it for 8 years without incident. It finally got old enough that the same mechanic said, if you want one that actually has working air conditioning at this point, I will sell you a different one for $1,800. So I went from a 740, which looks like a Kleenex box on wheels, but they last forever. And I went to a 900 series, which looks like a slightly nicer Kleenex box on wheels, and that lasted another 7 years. Moved to Hamilton. I didn't need it. I got a different car. It's only when I got a job in Toronto that I needed to be able to go to the Go Train and back. I have bought 2 beaters for like nothing. Both of them are dead, and I kept thinking, I want a Volvo, and I'm not going to find one. The only way I could find one, I can't find a mechanic like the guy I had in Toronto. I would need enough luck to find someone who's selling it, and it's very cheap, and it's not going to fall apart. And I should never, ever, ever buy a car off of Facebook Marketplace. That is the stupidest thing you can do. You'll never guess what. Some guy was selling one for $2,800 in 2025. Said fully certified. This is too good to be true. And I asked him, I said, okay, define certified and what's the mileage? And he said, well, yeah, the mileage is, it's insane. It's 38,000. Most cars die at 25,000, but Volvos last forever. He said, it's 38. I work for the dealership. I just want to get rid of it. I was going to soup it up for myself. And I said, well, I had a 740 and a 900 series. He said, come see it. I went to see it. He made all the right noises. He walked me through the car. He opened the engine, showed me what was new, showed me what wasn't new. I know barely enough to realize this is impossible and certified. I thought, you know what? For the money involved, if it lasts 2 years, it's probably still worth it, and I need a working car very quickly. So I bought, what is now a V60, which is the most boring car known to man. It is a station wagon. It is a black Volvo station wagon. If you hit cruise control, it will take you to Loblaws to buy white bread. It is the most boring car in the world, and it's perfect. It's big. It's not in the best of shape. But here's where the cult comes in. Volvo people are culty people. The first one I had, I would drive it through Toronto at stoplights. Every so often, somebody would stop and go, my dad had that car. It would make me so happy. It was the first car I drove when I was a teenager. Go, okay, I'm happy for you. Thank you. One guy leaned into my car and said, is that the original radio? I will give you $500 cash for the radio tomorrow at this same intersection. So you won't give me your phone number, but if I drive to this intersection at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll give me $500. I almost did it. That was almost like half the price of the car. The one I have right now, it's a boring Volvo station wagon. I can't park it in a supermarket parking lot without some guy, usually gray hair, usually going, oh, wow, yeah, was that a dealer car? I can tell because the windows are tinted. I bet that was from Oakville. I bet that was in service until a couple of years ago, and they probably sold it to that guy up on Upper James. Completely at random, and they'd be right. It's weird. Yesterday, same deal. I'm at a parking lot at Costco, and some guy walks past me and goes, huh, nice car. Did Grandpa die? And then went, oh, shit, did your grandfather really die? I said, no, it's just an old car. It's an amazing car. These things will last for how many kilos? How many kilometers? I bet it's over 350. But oh man, you're gonna drive that to 700. It's an amazing car. It's this incredible car. I so badly. Where'd you buy it? Can I buy one? Where'd you get it? Did you get it from a lot? Where's the lot? Where you can tell me. It's kind of our secret. Is it in Oakville or in Hamilton? Which one? It's a car. It is an extraordinarily cheap car. So I just wanted to tell you that there's a cult around this car. A couple of years ago, I was working for one of the big Canadian banks, and they decided that the present for the investment salesman who sells the most, they're going to give them a brand new Volvo, which is going to be something like $75,000, $80,000. And just at random, I said, oh yeah, I've owned 2 of them. They're nice cars. And somebody said, well, can you write like a PowerPoint presentation about how great they are? So I made this insane little sales bit about people. Everything I've heard about these cars is like, oh, I had a 20-year-old Volvo in university. I rode the hell out of it, and eventually I traded up to a 12-year-old one. Or, it's when you get into it, it's like that new Volvo smell. And Volvos, you can put them through a lot of abuse, and they are always there for you. All this ridiculousness I've heard about. Put it into a PowerPoint presentation so they could give to the sales staff. If nothing else, my name would be on it. It would be a piece of marketing material for my resume. Said Mike Derbecker developed this for, high net worth investment banking, et cetera, et cetera. The guy I put it together for took it and said, thanks very much, stuck it in a drawer, never used it. So I'm a bit miffed because I spent like 1 or 2 weeks putting this together and writing all this copy about it. I don't work for that bank anymore. I've not worked for that bank for 7 or 8 years now. Recently I found out that through the miracle of AI, they have taken the text and they have stuck it together into a sales video. There are a couple of problems with AI. I mean, you have all kinds of wonderful things. The biggest problem is that the voice recognition is not what it should be. So the dude in question, for reasons best known to himself, read the script that I wrote into his phone, and voice recognition picked it up. This guy was South African. Volvo came across as vulva. I'd like you all to think about that for a second. So he did this, and through the miracle of AI, rather than talking to the marketing department of this bank that would do things properly, he just made an AI video with this script and with the pronunciation that the voice recognition picked up, and this very clear AI voice reading everything, and then showed it to the sales staff. So what they heard was, there's nothing like a vulva. You can give a vulva a lot of abuse, and it's always there for you. There's nothing like that new vulva smell. And of course, topping it off with, I had a 20-year-old vulva in university, and I rode the hell out of it, but eventually traded it for a 12-year-old. The RCMP called him about that one. I wish that was not a true story, but it was. Thank you for your time. And like I said, that is not a commercial for Volvo. I want to get my book. 1 second, please. Do we have Amber still here? Okay. We do? I just want to remind you of one thing. We're going to have a what is that called? Oh, a stoplight. Yeah. Stoplight there. Green, keep going. Yellow, please start wrapping up. Red, please, seriously, keep wrapping up. Okay. I'm not sure if you heard that or not, but if you did, by the way, here she is. Thank you.
I didn't really prepare this, but I wrote some notes down, and good evening. I just wanted to tell you a bit of my scuba diving tales. I used to be a scuba diving instructor. I'm retired now from that, but yeah, they're not the healthiest people in the world, but because a lot of divers smoke weed, smoke cigarettes, they're alcoholics, and it's called a lazy person sport. So during the instructor exam, I was very focused. There was a lot of physics involved and a lot of physiology and things like that, and I was wondering how are these other people smoking weed and just chilling out and stuff like that. So I didn't really smoke weed when a lot of other people did, but occasionally I would. So fast forward to when I was employed. Can you hear me okay with this? Yes. Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of fun things involved. There's something called the snorkel test, where if you pass your instructor test, you put a mask and a snorkel on attached, and then it's kind of like a funnel and they filter in like rum, and it could be like a 2-liter bottle or an 18-liter bottle. It's just crazy times. So this is on an island in Honduras in Central America. And so I was trying to do my best. This was my new career. I was on a leave of absence from a medical receptionist job in Hamilton, and I started learning Spanish for some reason, but I didn't know why. And I just wanted to get out of there. So I took a leave of absence and did this dive master course, dive instructor course. And so anyways, fast forward to employment. And so I was employed at a local family business, and it was called Sea Grape Divers. So this was on an island in Central America. It was like limestone cliffs and jungle lush, tropical flowers and mango trees. Walking home from work, I could pick up mangoes if I wanted, things like that. It was beautiful. The coral reef was the second largest in the world. It was like the best diving that I've ever experienced. And so I had the first job that I got. I was the only gringa there. I was the only white chick. It was a family business, and you know, because there was Hondurans, and the boss, the grandfather, Admiral, he would come around and. You know, we called him the Admiral, and he would wear like polyester pants, and he had like his hair dyed brown, and it was like 96 degrees, and everyone was kind of like, oh, the Admiral's coming and stuff like that. So I had a coworker called Tony. He was born on the island, and you know, he was really cool. Like he would play guitar, and he was so chill. I was like, why can't I just be so chill? And he would just like play Bob Marley, and like, Amber, I'm like Bob Marley's grandson and stuff, and like, come and smoke some weed with me. I'm like, no, I got students. I'm like, no, I can't. So he was like always trying to coerce me to smoke weed, and no, I got, you know, I'm a new instructor. I'm trying to be professional. And so one day I did, you know, he would go in the little jungle area, off to the side of the resort, and you know, in the trees, and you could see the ocean and stuff like that, and then of course the Admiral comes around, Grandpa in his polyester pants, and then he saw us. But so anyways, that day we went to Blue Channel, and Tony had students where he was teaching new people, and I was a dive master where I was taking people that were already certified, which is a little less pressure. Right? You just have to make sure their gear's set up, and you have to give the briefing. You have to take control of these people and say, so which I did. We arrived at the spot. We go on the boat. So yeah, anyways, we're smoking a joint in the jungle. And I think the Admiral walked by. I was like, oh my God, he's going to see us. Anyways, so we get on the boat. Okay, the 1 o'clock or the 2:30, whatever it was. Head to Blue Channel. That's the name of the dive site. And so we get there, and beautiful place, sunny all the time. And then so you have to kind of just say, when the boat parks up and you or whoever ties off, okay, welcome to Blue Channel, right? You have to say, okay, we're gonna back in this way, and you have to like give the instructions, and then so, I don't know. So I was saying to like this group of people, okay, welcome to Blue Channel. And then he's like, Amber, those are my students. And then like he was teaching them like for days at a time and stuff like that, and I just got the people mixed up. Anyways, so it was just such a beautiful experience. Yeah, so I was like just trying to take hold of the people that weren't mine. So then I'm like, okay, and then I went over the other people. I'm like, okay, welcome to Blue Channel. And then I just directed them from there, but it just, everything looked different. It looked so much more beautiful, so much more alive, like so much more, like it was just awesome. I'm like, now I know why they're doing this, and vaping and stuff, and they would go in the little cabin and smoke and stuff like that, and it turned out fine. But yeah, yeah, so that was kind of a funny story, but there was some scary stories too. But like, you know, you go on night dives, and depending on what the moon's doing, if the moon is full, maybe you don't need your flashlight, your underwater flashlight. Maybe you can, you know, we're going in at sunset and you can see the full moon through the water. And if it's a new moon or there's no moon, then it's like pitch black. Then you're in Bahamas on a liveaboard with your sister, and you signed a shark dive waiver. And all of a sudden, like, everything's dark, and then you like look behind you and you literally can't see anything, and then you start to freak out. And then you're just like, okay, just breathe, you got your light, just breathe. Look at the lobsters, look at the red shiny eyes of like the weird things that come out at night, because different things come out at night. And also the bioluminescence. That's where James Cameron got inspired for Avatar. You can move your hand and all these blue particles are flying around, or the wake from the boat. Like anything, you can go with your fin, and all these blue particles are just amazing. Like, I'm like, I wish I smoked weed or I was on shrooms. I'm gonna come back and take shrooms or acid for this. But that's why I used to say any drug or anything, scuba for me used to be, or still is, I suppose, better than any high or any other type of excess type of pleasure, I suppose you could. But then we start combining them, but then I'll get into that. Okay, so yeah, so scary stuff. I have many stories, but yeah, swim-throughs, getting your tank caught on something, getting caught and you can't move, so you have to just, there's been some scary times, but we'll just go into the funny bodily functions. All the ones that we can do on the surface, you can do at depth too. You can cough, you can laugh, you can cry, you can scream, you can drink water, you can through your regulator. You can, I've been so dehydrated one time that I had to drink salt water. It was horrible. Some people were so into smoking weed that they wanted to blow the weed into their life vest, which is full of air, and that so that they could smoke weed on the dive and inhale it, right? And yeah, so you could, yeah, you can. Well, we'll just pass over that. You can puke. Okay, we won't go into that, but I'll go right into the advanced skill. You can also kiss underwater. That's an advanced skill. So you have to actually take your regulator out of your mouth to do that. And so I had this, it wasn't a student, it was a diver from San Francisco. His name was Spencer, and anyways, a very attractive guy. He had blue eyes and black hair, lots of tattoos, very fit. So then I was just chatting with him on the boat or wherever, and I was just like, yeah, I just really want to like, my dream is to kiss someone underwater. And so again, we're at Blue Channel, not this day I was stoned out of my head, but another day, and then he was snorkeling on the surface, and I was diving with divers, and then he went and then dove down to me and kissed me, and I had to take my regulator out, and he took his snorkel out and he kissed me, and I was like, oh wow, it's like merman's coming down from the surface here, and gave me a kiss. So it was pretty cool. And so that's the romantic part. But next time, maybe we'll get into how not to die while you fit 3 people and 3 yoga mats on a scooter.
Another hand of applause for Amber and her breath control. Would you please come back next month here, or maybe at Jen's event in a couple of weeks, and tell the rest of those stories?
I have quite a few.
I dated a swim teacher / scuba instructor who also told me that you can kiss underwater, among other things. So I'd like to hear your take on it.
Well, your 100th dive, you're supposed to dive naked, you know, but some people do that, I suppose, or up to here in Ontario, it's a little bit more chilly.
I was about to say it's a touch cold, and then the whole shrinkage thing. Oh yeah, I'm sure you can guess the rest. Cool, that was an amazing story. Thank you very much. We got 2 people left. One was a late addition, and he was at my last event, and his story was amazing. And he's right here. Tomo.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So good evening. If we haven't met before, I'm Tomohiro. I identify as a one-liner comedian, which means I put a ton of pressure on myself every Thursday when I come here, or lots of other venues, to punch and to make people laugh. But tonight, I just wanted to take all that pressure off myself and just tell you a story. And if you find it, comical or hilarious, sure, you have permission to laugh. If not, well, it's just me ranting about one of my favorite hobbies, which is swimming. So growing up, I was, competitive swimmer. I loved to be in the pool. It's funny because Jake, the owner of CFT, who I don't think is here tonight, I still coach his daughter. So because of that, one of my favorite places to be, I guess, during the week is the fabulous Hamilton city pools, right? Does anybody else go to those wonderful pools, those century-old buildings? Yeah, there you go. Those century-old buildings that constantly need closures and maintenance, and everything's falling apart, but they still charge you how much per swim? $6.70 or something, yeah, per swim, right? So why do we still go? It's because the only alternative is to swim in Lake Ontario and come back with a third arm, right? So compared to that, we gladly pay the $6.93 every time. Now, when I go, I'm always early. I'm in the dressing room, the men's dressing room, be exact. And just to clarify, not one of those perverts. I do a little warm up. I'm stretching. I get changed, take a shower. I'm ready to go. But fuck, that fucking door that leads to the pool deck, it's always locked, right? It's always fucking locked because you know why? They don't open it until it's the exact time for the lane swim and the family swim. And sometimes they don't even open on time, right? So you're left standing there like a freaking idiot. All these other half-naked guys, like a caged animal. I can tell that for some people this story is resonating. That's great, yeah. And then later on, the door finally clicks open, and you're finally inside the water. And that's a whole nother world, right, guys? Because first of all, there's always that guy, right? Every pool that has to swim butterfly right in the middle of the fast lane, just splashing everybody, it's like you're in the front row at SeaWorld, just trying to survive the splash zone, right? My gosh, this guy thinks he's training for the Olympics, but in actuality, he just looks like a bird that's drowning and about to die. A giant bird. So then you abandon the fast lane, and then you go to the medium lane or the slow lane, but things aren't that much better there either. Because there always have to be, she's always there, every pool without fail, that, big heavy-set woman, right, who can't swim, and she just kind of floats, in the water. Just goes so slow, right in the middle of that frickin' lane, like a human speed bump. And I use every technique that I have, the competitive swim, the swim coaching, everything I learned, trying to get around her, but it's impossible. It's just too freaking big, But you know who I like more than the butterfly guy and the speed bump lady? Is the lifeguards, right? Yeah. Those guys, those teenage fuck faces. with their tall chair, the plastic whistle, makes them think like they're like the warden of a maximum security prison. I was swimming laps one time. This Einstein lifeguard gets off the chair, comes up to me and says, "Excuse me, you're going the wrong direction. You're going the wrong way. You have to follow the arrows on the sign." And I'm like, I am following the arrows. You know how many times I've been here, right? She picks it up. She actually picks it up, turns it towards her, and say, "From my vantage point, from my perspective, you are going in the wrong direction." And I said, "Hey, listen, lady, I didn't wake up this morning thinking that I was going to come to the pool and have to stop my workout midway to explain to someone basic perspective. It's because you're looking at it while facing me, and when we see it, we're looking at the wall behind you." Now, later on, you finish your workout, right? You're tired, you're feeling good about yourself. All you want is a nice hot shower, right? To wash off all those disgusting chemicals, right? Yeah, and to relax your muscles. But what do you get? It's this freaking button on a wall. You press it, right? Gives you like exactly 8 seconds of this like trickle of water, right? They don't have like the turn knobs for some reason. It's like this, I don't know, outdated ghetto Alcatraz style button. Press it, get a little water there, right? So you go there, get a little water there. Oh, just gotta keep pumping that thing, like, you're doing CPR on the plumbing system. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Oh, got a little bit there. Fuck, it's up. 1 and 2 and 3. At that point, I just give up and walk back out to the pool deck and just let the butterfly guy splash me clean. Thank you very much, you guys.
Give it up to Tomo. I find it very cool that you've now told 2 swimming stories here. Maybe anyone else does. I find it very cool. I had one, like, the wonder of Hamilton pools. I took my kids out. I live on Hamilton Mountain, so I took them to Westmount and to Huntington Park. And in both cases, we walked into the pool. Within 5 minutes, we heard a voice saying, "Everyone leave the pool, please. Everybody leave the pool. The pool has been fouled. Everybody leave the pool." Both of my kids are going, "Why?" I said, "Get out of the pool first, then we will explain it." And like the first one, they were slightly miffed. The second one, they were mad. Then we went to Stony Creek, and they closed the pool because it flooded. Yeah. I can't make that up. We were in the pool going, "This is great. Finally, we have a nice pool," and then realized that the water level is above the edge of the pool. And various people walking around saying, "I don't know, what do I do? Can we turn it off? I don't know if we can turn it off." So we had to leave the deck because it was flooded. It was surreal. The rest of the time, they're lovely. Come back anytime. Thank you. We're the last person. Unless there are anybody who would like to do a last-minute sign-up, I encourage you to do so. But if not, there you go. Jen, perhaps?
I was going to tell a story about carrot cake, cheesecake, but I don't think I can handle it.
I can't think of a pun on short notice for carrot cake and cheesecake. Something to do with confection? I don't know. Whatever. If you change your mind, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to bring up Brian, and I say this every time. I've performed on and off with Brian for over a decade at this point. He is good. Full stop. Brian Terrio.
This one's a little bit emotional for me. It's a story about an old friend of mine. Met him in college. Great guy, very relaxed. tall. We both dressed alike. He was a biker, and I just dressed like one. We hung out, smoked cigarettes, drank beer, played darts. He was a great guy. And, you know, everybody goes their separate ways when they graduate. I managed to run into him a couple of times after. And, you know, never quite the same fire. Never got a chance to hang out any more than usual. But it was good to see him. Good to see that he was getting around, staying in the industry, making money. Lost track of him for a while. He showed up on Facebook, which was great. Great way to send pictures and get informed. He's a motorcycle rider. Like to go fast. Preferred the cafes to the cruisers, and I rode the bitch a couple of times on his bike. He's a scary driver. Really fast. Knows how to flip it sideways. Take corners. Speed. I've never been as afraid as on the back of his bike. I've had people try. They were a little upset that I wasn't very put out by it. He was just way too taxing. A couple of times he's showed up online with pictures of him in the hospital. So I was worried about him. I mean, he drove like a maniac. So I wasn't surprised to see that you know, he had some bandages and was taking pictures in the hospital. Usually it was you know, something fairly mundane, you know, fell off some stairs or something like that. So I wasn't really shocked when a couple of weeks went by and he didn't post anything, and then he showed up again in a hospital gown. I asked him a couple of questions, and he told me why he was there. Along with what George was saying earlier, it's tough being a guy, having all the expectations, where you want to be, where you're expected to be. Well, my buddy didn't have a family. His life took him in a different direction, so he had several girlfriends, but they never had any kids. So basically, his career was his life. Well, one day he ended up going at sunset to a beautiful park that was nearby his house. He loved the country he was in because the skies were so clear at night. So we went out and lay down in the grass after drinking and smoking. Lay back on the grass and stared up at the stars and slid his forearm from here all the way down to his wrist. He had taken a whole bunch of pills and was quite content with the idea of not waking up again. Well, as luck would have it, he ended up waking up again. And there he was, lost a lot of blood, horrible headache. Gets on his cell phone. Luckily, it had enough of a charge. And he calls, and they come and they pick him up, take him into the hospital. He was a great guy. The place that he was working at is contract. So he worked there as long as he had a contract. Well, the next job that came into the shop that he was working at was a religious story. My friend was a devout atheist and said, "Is there another thing I can work on?" And they said no. Well, being a man without a job was a little too much. It's tough trying to deal with having everything taken away from you by somebody else. He's a big, tough guy. Big, hairy, tough guy. And I'm glad it didn't work. I hope he stays around for a bit longer.
With all due respect, one more time, Brian Terrier. One of the reasons I like this place so much, and I'm just going to, everyone who's performed here, to put them all under one umbrella, is that you can get 3 or 4 people giving slice of life stories that are funny or interesting, and you can get somebody who brings their heart out in the same evening, and you never know where it's going to come from. This place gives a venue, so one more time, thank you, George, thank you, Jake. The story you told, I don't know your friend, but I've shown up at the bedside of people who've tried the same thing. So that experience cuts deep. If you haven't had that happen, if you haven't shown up to someone who has tried to end everything and then is still there, you don't want to do that. But if you do, you walk away from it different. So talking about that is hell, and you did a beautiful job. Thank you. And guess what? We're at the end of our evening. I want to thank everybody who has performed. Give yourself applause for that second. And a few bookkeeping things. Firstly, the bar remains open, so it's a good time to have a drink, have a snack. Go to the website, go to Instagram to see what's happening at CFTA. Jen is here tonight. Jen Frankel did not perform tonight. She also has an event called Right On, Right Now, which firstly is an amazing event, and secondly, last time I did it, she allowed me to do a piece that I've been working on for around a decade, and it drew blood, at least for me. So if you wanted to tell something tonight, you didn't get around to it, I recommend you check out Jen's event as well. Anybody? August 21st, thank you. It is worth your time in every way, shape, and form. Everybody who's here, thank you for your time. I say that too often, but I mean it sincerely. If you performed and you want a video of your event, please talk to George. He can arrange for that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for encouraging everybody's behavior, especially mine. See you in a month. Cheers.
First.